Olá, boa tarde, tudo bem? Meu nome é Adriano, sou da WX Soluções.
I'm going to show you an example made in Windev where we create a web component and display this web component on a desktop screen, on a Windev screen, and we manage to make this HTML object have an action that triggers an exception when opening a window or reporting or processing.
Tá?
So this example was made with the help of Paulo Viana, who is a client of ours from Bahia, Brumago, and I will show you the techniques used in this example. Well, let's first see how it's working.
Embaixo.
It's the standard HTML control, and here I have a clickable menu where I can click on customer and call up a window, in this case desktop. So when I click here, canceled orders, it arrives here, which was clicked on the word canceled orders and opens the window, passing parameters. Canceled orders, canceled orders, canceled orders, accounting, financial, tax, stock, sales, dynamic menu management. Mine also has the management part of this menu here. So if I want it here, I have accounting, financial, tax, homo sheriff, stock, sales, and management of the dynamic menu. Let's say I want to create another white option, a blue option menu. So we come here, task, header menu, and okay, and here we go. And here we will put it like this, menu, menu test, right? And then in order, let's put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's put 8. So here icon size 32, and here we leave everything on. For now, everything here is not planned, but it will be.
Tá? Então a gente vai dar um gravar. Então temos aqui o menu teste, ó. Não tem aqui ele ainda, né? Vamos agora criar o submenu teste, né? Então, vamos dar um incluir, vamos dar o ID e vamos pegar aqui menu teste, tá? E aqui vamos colocar o número ID. Aqui vamos colocar lá menu 1, ordem 1 e liga tudo aqui, né? Visível, enable, né? Gravar. Vamos dar mais um aqui, pegar menu teste, menu 2 e ordem 2, tá? 32 de ícone e ligamos aqui as variáveis, tá? Esse aqui é a utilização, né, de como que você vai criar o teu menu, né, relacional, né? Tá? Então nós temos ele criado, vamos fechar e vamos fazer com que ele releia essa configuração que a gente fez, ó. Então, ele abriu e apareceu aqui, ó, menu teste, menu 1, ó.
And menu 2 is already responding. It already has action.
Né?
Dynamic menu here opens a window, and this here is personal HTML. This one is cool, so you can create a window, pass parameters using control here. In this case, it's menu, but I could do table, pivot table with HTML, right? And make it interact with my application. I wanted to modify my controls. I don't want to use the soft PC controls. So with HTML, you design the objects. With HTML, CSS, JS, you design your objects. And so you can have a different interface, different behavior.
Né?
Let's see how it was done. Now I'm going to present how the development was done.
Tá?
Here in the analysis, we have this menu here, this XP task header menu table. What will it store? It will store the header, and the XP task items menu will store the header items. So header is head items, and here there's a relationship between this field here, header task header UID and task header UID on the other side too. The same name, so the relationship occurs here. Okay? This part of how you create the table and everything else is up to you. Note that here I have that in the header table, I have its title, the order in which I want it to be displayed, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? The icon that I will use, then file on disk, its size, its style. This is not yet programmed, but later you can modify it. The margin, that is the top side spacing, margin above top, here bold. If the text will be bold, if it will be italics, whether the window is already open or closed, visible or invisible or enabled.
Né?
It's the same thing here. Global relationships come here in case you have two menus, so as not to disturb the other. So here is task icon. We have the name of the item, the order in which this item will be within this header, the icon, the size of the icon, the style, the top margin, whether it is bold, whether it is italic, which window it will call, what parameter it will pass, what return it will have, whether it will be visible, and whether it is enabled to be used. Right?
Tá?
This here is a security table that is from SecWin, the control that I am creating.
Tá?
So, because I created the windows for these two tables using my rate pattern, I needed this little table here, which is a log table, okay? Well, we close here, so we have two tables. These two are the main ones that we have to understand and understand. In the window here, the first one we have, what is it? It's a normal window. We only have a text field. There's nothing normal here, just a text field. STC received, it's a normal window, and STC received. In the window property, you're receiving a parameter. Here I'm giving a message of what arrived, and here I am assembling the text that is coming from the dynamic menu in HTML.
Né? Beleza?
So the simple window just does that. There's nothing else, okay? So this is what responds, right? As if it were your menu window, your system, customer registration. Instead of making a bunch of registration, I made a generic window here. And then you understand that if you pass the parameter, you will call the XYZ window of your system.
Tá?
We have WinMenuXPO8 and WinXPO FFX here. This is for study, for you to play with, move around as you please. And the one with the red number 1 here in the corner, WinMenuXPoop Dynamico, is the one that I, together with Paulo, created.
Tá?
This here is a first version. Let's call it version 1, which is just the HTML assembly and the execution of the commands that we defined in the header and item tables. So here we have a window created with pattern radio. In layer 1, I have the grid here, and here I have the items, just one normal recording, form only using planes. And here I have another window called items, where I have layer 1, the table, and the campus. And here a combo, this one that makes the connection with the parent, but for study purposes, the OOP class is being used, which is the framework class, which controls inclusion and changes.
e tudo mais, né?
It's good study material for you to see how I did this crude thing here. There's no programming. You'll see that the window here in the header is a window without any programming. There's no programming. Where's the programming? There's no programming. Here it's deleting, changing. Here are the commands that you have here in proceeding. That's right. So there are these little faces here. That's cool. So in these two windows, there are two normal windows. This here is a generic window for you to understand that something is happening.
Tá?
These are tests for you to tinker with as you please. And this is what we did. So what was put in? Mellow control was placed if you have to create the other one, and TML control this second one here. And I played here once the control was placed, we turn it on here in detail. The second option. The first one is not necessary. Just mark this second option here. It's mandatory. It's good. Give the name, which in this case we called HTML menu. And if there's more, it would be 2, 3 to 4. It has no connection with anything. Just a field played here on the screen called EDT menu. Here it says selected option, right? The HTML menu and routine menu open. So on this little guy here, let's take a look if there's anything down. He will open this other little guy here, which is this little guy here.
Então,
And programming when opening the window doesn't go here, which I was doing wrong. Then Paulo Viano showed me it has to be here.
né?
The object has to be initialized, and then it opens the menu part. Let's give F2. I have these three variables, the header, the items, and the VadaPay. What happened? We got this code here that Paulo Viana informed us. Okay? He probably copied it from the internet somewhere. And then what we did, look, it ended at this point here in this word, right? So I created a loop where it will read the header several times, and then this affection here, this word here. So I will give replace, and then this affection was increased in this variable here. It now has the value that came from the registration there in the table. Then in the readers table, the title item will be placed here. The word you wrote accounting, financial, will stop, right? So he does that. As it is inside that same for, I made another forish, which is not on top of the header, it is on top of the header items. So he added this little piece, replaced this little guy with what's in the title, what you registered, and then I forged the item here. And I took advantage here to do air, which is a filtering that says here that this item that is inside the header will only be its header if it belongs to the father. In this case, the header is the one above. Understand? So here I am reading parent 1. So here parent 1 is arriving here, and then the item can only be rotated here. Only the children of the parent are here. So I have another variable here. Sorry, the same variable incrementing here is with too much sign here. See, he's going to combine this text with this text. but we're going to replace it with this guy, and he's going to replace it with the title of the item you have there. Okay, so here, it's good to give the names exactly right. Header here, here items, right? So as not to have the risk of getting the wrong name. Okay, that's it. So close the for, and then the accordion, and then he will close it down here with slash the he that closes the accordion, and then here, close it. The rest of the foot wheel that is necessary for it to work is. So here I have this Rota P code. Let's take a quick look. Here we have the accordion script, how it will work. Here it is a JavaScript function. The JavaScript function in this block, where open these keys, this here, opened, closed keys. This here is a script function. So how many scripts are there? Finish the script here and another one here. There are two scripts, okay? And here the HTML closes. So the HTML structure opens HTML and closes HTML, opens goat and ends goat. This is the beginning of the HTML, the type of text that will be used, the links, the parameters.
Certo? Aqui a parte do CSS, né? Então aqui já tem um CSS. Aqui por enquanto está fixo, tá? Isso aqui a gente vai com o tempo.
The links, the parameters, here the CSS part, here it is fixed. This here we will go over time. In this version 1 of this menu, we have fixed data, and with this here you can modify it to whatever you want. He wants.
Tá bom? Pode pegar.
Let's take each of the 3 variables, header, items, and end, and place them in the HTML control that is on the screen. So this name here is the little guy that is here on the screen. This guy here, cool. So I changed the content of this HTML guy with this HTML menu. So I have the menu. I could get the background here, get the background color from the table that I even defined. Here you go.
In the header, right?
Here.
Header, né? Aqui. Background.
Background. The background is inside the class. So the class, I defined some things here. She's not yet using the class. The class was created, but she's not yet using everything here. And then what happens? I'm going to take it, pass the class data, pass the parameters that will feed these fixed values here. So it won't be like this. Fixed will be using the variable that is here, so it will be more malleable. Today it's just about creating the menu at runtime and the action. For a lot of people it would work. Now I want to change it all. I want to change the color. I want to change the icon. I want to change the text alignment. All of that here. It will be possible to change the class. So the class is here. Let's take a look. So here are the class variables. Here we will see the class variables, the class structures, and here the content of each of them. Global IS array, this guy. This guy here is a structure, and here is its structure, background image. So feeding these values here into the class will feed that HTML that is not yet being fed. But you can get the initial block of the project from this dynamic menu, using HTML is already well underway. So you can take it, replace it into here using replace or string builder. Then it's a matter of taste. I like replace, right? Which is very clear to me that I only did the menu part and put it together using things that were already defined.
Né? Se você abrir o fixo aqui, ó, vamos dar uma olhadinha, né? É a mesma tela praticamente, né? E se você abrir aqui a parte do menu, olha lá, é o mesmo código lá, ó, menu HTML.
The other one is Stringo. It doesn't have that one out here in the middle. Let's take a look here. Notice that it has CSS here, HTML at the top, then the accordion starts here, right? The accordion started. So here we have fixed values, Photoshop, CSS. Let's run it just so you can see. It's opening normal, okay?
Né? Só que ele está aqui, ó, só com ação nesse último cara aqui, ó. Né? Aqui, ok. Ó, Yahoo, ó lá. Então esse aqui é um mini exemplo, tá? Certo?
But it only has action in this last guy here. Okay, Yahoo, hello. So this one is a mini example, right? But with fixed values, it is written fixed here.
Entendeu?
What did I do? I took this block here, copied it, and broke it down on this guy here.
Ó, eu destrinchei. Ó.
See where his increase is. Let's roll here.
Eu vou...
Put parentheses, I'm going to push and put that block here.
Ctrl V. Certo?
It's not right. I'll comment just so you understand. Let's save.
Ó.
So for you to understand, see here, Lee, E-class, and everything else. Web positioning, bara, closed in div. Did you notice that it's the same thing? But here, I put a different name than there. With space, I put the name with an underline.
Né?
Then what happens? I took this little piece here, and inside the for, I created this structure, this text variable that will store this here.
Né? Então ele vai guardar esse pedaço.
But I replaced this block, replacing it with the title of what I want. And then this text that is here is now corrected. It now has information that came from the database. So I go to for it. In the items, I say that I only want from the father, the children. I'm only going to get the children of this parent here that is being freed now, which then has several parents. So the first parent, which is the first item in the header in the menu report. So here it entered the items, and it will make this line here, which refers to this line here. This here is other options, Google call, right? I can pay for you to understand I took it and did this here. The deleting one, I left the minimum, right? The menu header with the, then it starts and ends on this line. And this one closes the first section. The first menu, and then when it goes down here, it closes. It closes, right? And then to close the menu, so it has an accordion ending, this here is the end of the accordion. So the sum of all this, running in a loop from the beginning to the end of what I registered, will dynamically assemble the HTML. Once this core was created, let's do it like this so you understand. When it gets here, we'll stop. And when it gets here, then in debug, I have it in the header here. This is not part of the HTML that we have on the screen, right? Take it here, drag it down here. Look, for now it doesn't have anything, it's empty, okay? So we're going to take it, make it stop here. Let's see now how the items turned out. Let's double click the items. It's here. It looks like topics, but it's without formatting, without CSS. We're seeing little pieces and little pieces. Block 1 is not connected to block 2, the variable file. And now it will read this other third variable. Let's stop here. Let's press play, more play. It arrived here at the end. So here at the end, we now have the walk back. So now let's pull it here. This is the items and the topics, which is our menu, created from a database. This here came from a database. I read header and items. And these topics were set up in for using for here with another for inside it, generated this there. And then I took the header plus the items plus the footer and restricted T fate, which was Paulo's tip. And I played for the controller that is on the screen.
Tá, ó.
You still like that, okay?
Né?
Let's go back to the code. Let's close these paths here. It's not that here. It's the class I'm still tinkering with.
Tá? Ó.
He hasn't fed yet.
Ó, esse carinha aqui, se eu pegar arrastar aqui também pro nosso debug, ó, né? Ele tá vazio, ó. Ele não tem nada. Se eu quiser dar agora um play e for ver lá na tela, né? Vamos ver. Ó, ele vai montar, né? Vamos dar um play.
I thought that the menu would look cool, right? He did it. There's still no detail left to explain to you what is what. When the reading occurs here, this assembly dynamically concatenating the HTML. Note that here in the wl.execute menu open routine, and here the word that will be replaced by what is in my registry. So it goes to this guy here. So this guy receives what I clicked on. I inform him with the info. I can comment this here. If you don't want him to give this, because I gave a message, you comment normally, you will comment. Here he has the word EDT open menu. Who wants this guy? It's just control here on the screen. Right, so I can see that I clicked on that guy, but it's unnecessary. If you want to comment to or remove this field here, you can remove it. This here is optional. This here is optional. Now this here is the logic. So here it is. Here the parameter. The parameter arrived. I say it is all capital letters. So it opens the ledger, the name of the window, And if there is a parameter, you pass the parameter, and then you want to open accounting. So you open the accounting book like this onwards. And then here it arrives at the final part here, the tables part, which is what feeds the system. So there's dynamic creation management. I register the header and items, and it creates these options. I feed them. Of course, I will have to write control. What I wrote is what will trigger. Okay, so I'll be uploading this example to the repository. I hope you like it. It's my and Paulo Rihanna's work, and he helped me, answered my questions. It's not a ready-made project yet. It will evolve further. It will be much cooler. We will be able to change it here using the object-oriented class. We will have the configuration part. Let me show you. We can change information about X and Y position, size. I can say that it will have such a fixed size or not. Font, the background and the gradient, start and end of blue, black. So all this here, I intend to make the little menu at the end. You will feed the class and it will have this behavior. So this here is the part of the global structure of the menu. And then down here comes the task header structure, which would be the header, and here the items. So this all came from here, because where did they come from? The needs. Here on my machine, I have Clarion open, which is a VM. Here in the VM, we will see Nuclarium apert. We have the control there that I used in Clarium, which was menus XP. And then menus XP, it was created here in Clarium setup. Template register. And here at Clarium, I had its construction.
Né?
And then I thought you can build this. How can I build objects in InDev? HTML allows you to do anything. Round buttons, windows with a transparent effect. I can do several things with HTML. So we analyzed what we had on hand and talked to Paulo Viana. We came up with this example. Then you will be able to do other things. You can make an HTML table with JS or DevExpress. Which will be the same. The initial framework that Paulo created is practically this. It exchanges all the information here that is in the fixed HTML, everything through the framework that it controls, and makes the application have that interface that it creates and designs the HTML at runtime.
Digamos assim,
It would be a mini project of what Paulo Viana created for you to create your applications.
né? Digamos,
I don't want to use this PCSoft table control. I want to use mine.
né? Havia controle HTML lá.
So you inject it into the HTML here, assemble the HTML at runtime, and the application will be displayed. And you will be able to interact using this technique, which is this one. The interaction technique is here. where you will give the click event. This is the line that makes the event. So here, when there's an on-click event in the HTML, you will put this HTML technique. We will put this technique here, and this way we will replace it at runtime. And it will be no fixed yes variable according to your information registered in your header and item tables.
Tá bom? Espero que tenham entendido o projeto, né? A ideia base, né? Isso aí.
It's version 1. I would like the community to take this and modify it, implement it, make it as customizable as possible. Here it is. Let's say first, and then of course we can create example libraries in the repository for pivoting, table, combo box table, loopers that you can use in Webdev and Web Mobile, because it is an HTML control, the most primitive thing here.
Né?
Legal technique is what? You draw whatever you want with CSS, HTML, JS.
HTML, JS.
Once having the HTML, once it's ready to run, you'll be able to do whatever you want, right? I think this is an example like this that will be very interesting for the community there. Okay? Anything you need, get in touch with us. Okay? We will be evolving the example for you.
Se acharem erros, me passem, a gente vai corrigindo, vamos melhorando e vamos publicando no repositório.
It's okay? Big hug. Have a good weekend, everyone. Happy studying with Windev, Webdev, and Windev Mobile. And if you need to buy the products, enter into a contract with me, the WX Solutions people there, for your disposal. Big hug. See you later, guys.